You know, I really thought some people were overreacting, but my dad bought me this 1995 history book for for the year I was born. And I'm just gonna say this. A house for only $158,700? Hold on. Yeah, we're not done. Hold on. Let's list. Hold on. Oh man, I mean, yeah, there's inflation, but there's also it really does feel like the 2008 recession almost never went away. Like there's remnants of it, and then it's 2020. I think it definitely amplified whatever the remnants were. So it's gotten to the point where we're gonna need some type of economic rework to help out people. It's like, that's not even a joke. I'm just laughing at, hey, that looks like an accurate history book. It's like, ooh, hey, sometimes the accuracy of the world can remind you on things we need to work on. And I knew that the housing crisis was pretty bad, but yeah, it's definitely gotten to the point that hopefully we do take more notes from 1995. Keep listening to the vaporwave music and going to shopping malls and inspiring others for economic prices of that decade. Since I was a little kid, I've loved Star Wars. My parents love Star Wars. They will tell me about the times they would see Episode 4 in theaters for the first time. My dad saying that him and many others in the theater went, whoa, when the giant Star Destroyer pulled out chasing the rebellion ship. Or my mom talking about seeing, I'm Your Father in Episode 5. It's cool to hear those stories, right, in 1977, 1980. And, my parents had the VHS tapes for me to watch, and so it was ingrained with me since I was a young kid. And Star Wars is awesome. It's one of those things where you do come across the rare person that might not know what Star Wars is, but rather than shame them, it's just talk about it. I think there are times where people are so hostile because they're trained that other people are hostile. So in the case of I've never seen Star Wars, it's almost like they got the kung fu stance ready. They're ready for you to throw out the punch when they say I haven't seen Star Wars. Now, I will say some people say I haven't seen Star Wars, I think, to get a reaction out of people. But for the people that genuinely haven't seen it, I think there's a bridge to be built there, because it's an awesome series, and I'm specifically talking about episodes 1 to 6, shows like The Mandalorian. I liked the Book of Boba Fett, the Clone Wars, Rebels. There's a lot of good Star Wars there. The Disney attempted sequels, I think as the years go by, you're actually going to see people in charge of Lucasfilm find ways to lower the damage that set of movies did, and they got a lot to work with. Unfortunately, that Star Killer base scene where it destroys a bunch of planets, that was pretty bad. I remember being in the theater, and I just said, when they did that, I was like, what are you doing? I remember watching that, I was just like, what are you doing? In my head, but because that is, the Star Wars movies built up into the Republic coming back, so to have this kind of cheap write-off of the new bad guys just say, oh, and I guess the New Republic's gone, so the good guys can be freedom fighter rebels again for marketing, which is really sad. I think there's there's stuff you can salvage in the newer movies, but I think as the years go by, especially now with Dave Filoni in charge of Lucasfilm, I think he's going to find a witty way to not make that Star Killer base scene as damaging. It could be an alternate timeline. I think that's a good way to do it, is it could just be some alternate what-if timeline down the road. Regardless, episodes 1 to 6 I grew up with. I remember seeing episode 1 in theaters, 1999. And what always stuck with me is the way that George Lucas invoked the philosophy of self-control with Jedi. And I mean, everyone talks about how, I say everyone, but some people haven't seen Star Wars. So a huge majority of people that watch Star Wars, there's a big agreement that Obi-Wan Kenobi is the definition of an apex Jedi Knight. He is what a Jedi Master. He's what a Jedi Master should be. He's what a Padawan should be. And, you know, when he was a Padawan, he had some mistakes at times, but he was able to learn, reflect, and grow, which was awesome. There was the part where Darth Maul kills his master, and you can see there's he's a bit angry there. It's really interesting, but I bet he learned to reflect upon, you know, what was my state of focus I had there that I can extract from being angry. And I think George Lucas means for detail like that, which is really cool. You listen to the teachings of Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, about these things, about self-control, discipline, reiterating yourself to keep at it, never give up. It's awesome. And as a kid, that stuck with me. That type of form of self-control. I have Star Wars as a big thanks. Obviously, my parents played a big factor too. It really was one for one. My parents loved Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I saw a role model in Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker, Qui-Gon Jinn, and I'm like, wow, it's really cool that these characters could easily go down the path of hatred and anger, but they don't. They maintain self-control and good composure. And that stuck with me to this day, whether I play competitive fighting games, competitive card games, just going outside and I notice that my gas is on low, but I have to go travel 40 minutes down to Kansas City or the state of Kansas itself, but I'm not going to get angry about it. I'm be like, okay, what can I readjust here? Okay, I got a little bit of time to get some gas, maybe a little bit, and then I leave, right? The thing with structuring your self-control is that just like Obi-Wan, you understand that by maintaining self-control, you yourself are in control. I know that sounds almost blunt and a no-duh statement, but what I've discovered is as I've worked upon self-control, making sure I never get angry, making sure that I understand that I can always try to do my best to make a change in the situation, I am in control. How I react to things is my control. My actions I do are in my control. And, you know, when I play these competitive games, there are people that are trained to try to get their opponent angry. Ironically, I've noticed multiple times that because I don't get angry, they get angry. And they'll leave a game. They want me to run at them in anger, maybe because they're used to people being impatient. But that's another thing that Star Wars teaches, and the rule of the Jedi is patience. I keep all the time in my head when Obi-Wan just tells Anakin to be patient, have patience. That was so huge for me growing up, because you understand that the power of patience comes from seeing the opportunity when it presents itself. I do think fortune favors the bold, and I think in this case, you know, in terms of fortune favoring the bold, you're patient. You're understanding that you don't have to overextend. You can analyze the situation and then approach accordingly. Obviously, patience without action can become, you start to become a lot more subtle, become more in the background in certain interactions. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But patience without action means that, not that the patience goes in vain, but you might be missing out on certain opportunities that patience allows you. And again, that can be okay. That's kind of the catch-22, is patience with the action of understanding when something presents itself. For example, I'm playing Project Plus, you know, Super Smash Brothers. My opponent is playing Falco, who fires a lot of, you know, he's got this gun that can shoot lasers. And I've encountered Falco players in multiple Smash Brothers games where they shoot a lot of lasers and they want you to get impatient. By them becoming impatient, they want you to run right into them, and they have all these things prepared to punish you. And so what happens is, if I understand that, hey, I'm going to wait just a bit longer than average. Sometimes they throw out like a taunt, sometimes they leave the game, and there's your opening of opportunity. But what's interesting are the times where they might be used to someone a bit more patient. They throw out the first taunt, and they're hoping you approach, like they got these like different positionings ready, so right when you run in, they actually are able to hit you back. So then there are times with patience being a reward that you analyze the difference here. Oh, Falco stopped shooting. Why did he do that? I'm going to use my patience to analyze the situation here. Then the second time they do it, what was the pattern there? I'm going to take a risk here now and see what it is this time. And so, it turns out they're actually just kind of being arrogant, and or they hate that I'm being patient, so they're trying to taunt to get me to approach. But because it didn't work the first time, they're ironically slipping. And I think what's cool about Obi-Wan's character, think about his wins. Darth Maul, Darth Vader, I think Emperor Palpatine, there's a comic where he actually gives his dues to Obi-Wan Kenobi as a Jedi Master, because both Darth Maul and Darth Vader got arrogant in their initial fights with Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan used his patience to see the window of opportunity and take it for a victory over 2 Sith Lords. It's pretty amazing. Obi-Wan isn't in it for the glory, and he really is the definition of an amazing role model. I love how much George Lucas emphasized the power of self-control with the Jedi Order. I look forward to future Star Wars stories that reiterate how cool it is to be a Jedi. I love Mondays.